Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Highly Visible Podcast. This is part 2 of our history episode. Basically, we asked places you'd like to go back in time and visit if you could not change anything, just to see. And Caden's talking about the Civil War and many battles that he would like to go see. We hope you enjoy. Also, public service announcement. Dan is really drunk at the end of the episode, and it was very funny. Would recommend.
Going to Antietam was very cool, too. You know, and especially going to Burnside's Bridge, where so there were maybe a couple hundred Confederate soldiers on one side of this bridge, bunkered in this hill, and they held off thousands of Union soldiers trying to cross this narrow bridge that, might be as wide as my room, maybe 8 or 9 feet wide, held them for hours.
Do you think that any of the people at that battle knew the story of the 300? During the battle, you know what I mean?
Maybe.
Dude, that's fucking motivating. I've only seen movies, so I'm not historically accurate and all that. But I'm just saying, from where was that? I'm sorry, Caden.
Antietam. It's a Sharpsburg. Antietam.
Okay. That one, Thomas. You mentioned 300. A smaller task force fighting off this larger task or this larger oppressive force. Awesome. Love those stories. It's basically an underdog story with death and violence and everything that men are supposed to like. And then you go to fast forward to 13 hours and you got people putting dicks in the dirt with rifles. And it's just, it's so cool that continuation happens through history.
Some tactics never change regardless of the weaponry.
Absolutely. Well, not even tactic, because it's definitely not tactically advisable or an advantage to be let's go into this fight bogged down.
And then
no reinforcements. No, they're just you know what? We're gonna not even beat these motherfuckers, because some of them don't. We're gonna at least, what is that called?
Hold them back.
Yeah. We're gonna stave them with nothing but willpower, bullets, and just a lack of tobacco. We're gonna keep them at the gate.
That's an interesting thing about this conversation that I had never thought about before now either. How many, we could never go back to see things that we don't know happened, right? How many battles do you think were like that, where it was such an overwhelming force that everyone who was involved died? Wow, that is a small bridge.
I mean, not nameless, excuse me, countless. I have wondered that in different degrees at different times. Exactly that. You and me are very similar in that respect. Not only just battles. Right? It's anything. It's anything foundational. Think about how many people have gotten into a room and be okay, this is the way the world turns. These are the ways the gears rotate. Now let's all kill ourselves so nobody else knows.
Right.
You know what I mean? How many instances of that, especially back when the belief in alchemy, witchcraft, and all that was real, where things like a blood sacrifice was the most potent form of offering you could give. How many things?
I got a battle and blood sacrifice related history question. So,
I'm sorry, is that the bridge?
Yeah, this is the bridge. Go ahead and finish your thought, Caden. I'll save this.
I thought it was going to be much bigger. That's horrifying.
Can you fit 4 people across?
Counters. That's absolutely horrifying. I thought we were fighting over something called the Golden Gate. You can't see the whites in their eyes.
And that bridge is named after the man whose sideburns are named after, right? There's an old man named
after a pair of sideburns.
Oh, he died.
He left it.
That comment killed him.
As soon as I screen shared, my mic stopped working. So.
Okay.
Anyway,
we're back.
That picture, there's a tree to the left of the bridge, right?
Yes.
On the opposite side. That tree is called the witness tree, because there's a picture of that bridge the day of the battle. That tree is as big as this bottle. It's maybe 5 feet tall, and it's about that big around.
I see. So it's been left to grow.
That big now. Yep. So
that's nuts.
That is crazy.
It's called the witness tree. Wow. It's been there ever since that day.
Civil War, man.
Point.
That is really cool.
Civil War.
No, I'm not even gonna lie. Fighting, literally, I'm not the Golden Gate, obviously, But I thought the field that you were talking about where this took place was much larger, or the bridge was at least much larger.
Oh,
no, that's a fucking like you're turning sideways for politeness to let this motherfucker pass on this bridge, and they're like, let's shoot each other.
That's why it took them so long to get across because
absolutely
like
shoot choke
fish in a
point.
barrel. Yeah,
Absolutely. Tactically, God, I hate that term.
You're so tactical.
Militarily, it's a perfect strategy.
yeah. See, like
Shut up, Colin.
if the Confederates had more soldiers, they probably would have been able to hold that. But
Is it also one of those things where it's like if you threw more soldiers at it at once, you might have been able to break through, but you're being conservative because you don't want to lose a bunch of people, and that makes you lose more people? And
yeah, pretty much.
Honestly, though, at that point, you're taking into account. I mean, you're talking about Civil War, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're talking about now at this point, and I'm going to nerd out. You're talking about load times. You're talking about rotate. They used to have loaders, if I'm not mistaken. Caden, correct me if I'm wrong. They used to have loaders for muskets. So they would fire off. They'd have their marksmen fire off, put someone, just send them FedEx Express to God, and then hand it off to fucking Jeremy over here, loading rifles, just shoving fucking packing muskets.
Yeah.
Not rifles. And then hand it back like, send him Jeremiah.
Yeah.
But
it all depends. I mean, like some guys could get off probably 3 or 4 shots. Well, not 4, maybe 3 shots in a minute.
Yes.
If they're trained.
That's exactly that. But at the same time, like a lot of these people are like, oh, during the Civil War, people were blah, blah, blah. All these fucking farmers and shit still took time out of their day to learn how to speed load muskets. Like, realize that. And you Instagram gun nuts can't even fucking 1R1 your rifle sub 1. Shut up.
That's funny shit.
Sorry.
And you're thinking just muskets aiming down at that bridge.
Well, right. Like, and that, but that,
like 12-pound cannons shooting shrapnel.
I didn't even consider
shots.
Grape shot, son.
Like
just shredding people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fuck that, dude. Can you imagine the ordnance? Well, I wouldn't call it ordnance, but ordnance that's like lodged into the rocks of that damn bridge historically, unless they haven't taken it out and like
I think it's been rebuilt.
Preserved it?
Has
it? Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
About to say, maybe stained red. If you got a cannon shooting at something that's like a lane and a half wide, I imagine there's probably some blood spilled on that bridge.
Oh,
but
that's for sure.
Not to mention, most people are firing like 50 cal balls of pure lead.
Yeah, 50 cal, 58, 60.
That's nuts, man.
Just destroying your shoulder.
Oh God! Oh God!
I fired a black powder musket one time when I was like 12 years old. It launched me off my feet.
And that's the thing too. Everybody today is, and this isn't a big man thing. I'm just saying, like, think about this. Today, people are all like, "Oh, how much recoil does this have? How much? Is this a recoilless, or does the gas system in this, or is it piston driven or direct impingement?" Like, people 200 years ago were firing 50 cal lead slugs out of steel and wood. Shut up. Shut up. Stop talking. But I also am one of those people because I'm a prissy. I'm a rifle princess.
My bloody thing about battles, I have to get it out before I forget it.
Go ahead.
Supposedly, back during these pagan times, a lot of people got their fortunes told, and certain, like, every culture had different ways to do it. You throw the bones, you do this, do that. A lot of it was animal sacrifices. You would, look at the guts of the animal when they spill out and somehow be able to tell things. Some sort of divination involved that. And supposedly during some of these ancient battles, they were literally getting their cues from this information that they were getting from sacrificing animals on the battlefield. I am super curious about that. Like, is the general making a decision based on logic and history and knowledge, and then waiting for the guts to align with what he wants to do anyway, and then being like, yep, that's the one? Or, like, is he literally like, we should do this, but Apollo says, the guts say we should go do this, and they're actually doing that?
Absolutely.
I'm just curious.
And we've seen, and especially pop culture, we've seen examples of both, I would say, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen, I don't know who, so don't quote me, but somebody in the past who thought they were king shit before a battle painted crosses on their shield because, you know, God came down in a dream and said, hey, dude, you're going to get fucking wrecked. You get shit on by these dudes if you don't do that. And he's like, fuck, paint. And then we've also seen where he's like, I have to go consult the Oracle, and they're going to tell me what I'm allowed to do, or Oracle or Council. No, it wasn't Council. It was Oracle. And they're like, don't do this. And he's like, well, fucking get wrecked. And he went and did it anyway. Like, we've seen in popular culture both sides of that, and that's really cool.
We've also seen the use of religion in battle in both directions as well. You know, the Crusaders, like, supposedly some of them were very rah-rah, saintly, knightly crusader men who believed in Jesus and chivalry and all this stuff. But supposedly some of them were also like, yeah, whatever you want me to wear, I don't really care as long as I get to kill people and take a bunch of money.
Absolutely. Anytime you get a massive movement, especially religiously inclined, you're going to pick up those stragglers of society, those people on the outside of it, like those psychopaths, let's call it, before they were psychopaths, or before they were, you know, the term for it or the recognition for it. You're going to get those people who just want the blood and the guts, the glory. They want to try to elongate their lineage, their storyline. It doesn't matter if you make this foundation that people push off and are willing to kill for, you're going to eventually pick up some Charles Manson types that are just going to like run house to house and do some stupid shit. That's also why, and it's not the sole reason, but that's also why a lot of these big things get bad raps.
Colin knows how big, well, I think Thomas does too, knows how big of a Queen fan I am, right? I'm going to go back July 13th, 1985. We're going to watch the 20-minute Live Aid concert performance.
Yeah?
It's known as one of the greatest concert performances ever in history. And that's my rock and roll one.
Okay.
Another interesting one. You guys ever heard of the colony Roanoke in Virginia?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of my honorable mentions.
In 1585, I said the mystery of Roanoke. What happened to Roanoke? They're like, hey, we're going to leave you guys here. We're going to go back get some more shit. And they come back and everybody's gone.
I'll tell you what happened, Caden.
They're gone.
Croatoan.
I think they were. I think that's what happened.
I think my favorite theory.
Wrecked.
My favorite theory is actually that they were rescued and folded into a tribe of Native Americans. There are a bunch of rumors about light-skinned, light-haired, green-eyed Native Americans in that area before they would have had a chance to mingle with white settlers later on like they did. And it's very possible that in a hunter-gatherer society, since you hunt and gather your own stuff and share everything equally, those kinds of groups are very into picking up new people because it adds some genetic diversity and romantic variety and things like that. But also, like, their whole lives are based on this ethos of you help me and I help you, which lets you help me, which lets me help you. And that they very easily could have found these people starving and cold, just like in the Thanksgiving story. They didn't teach us all that stuff because we paid them. They taught us all that stuff about how to grow corn because they were just nice. Not all of them, not all the time, but entirely possible.
I just think how eerie, especially for the people that returned and show up and like, where the fuck is everybody at? Like it looks like this shit got ransacked, but there's no bodies, no blood, no nothing. There's symbols on everybody's fucking door, on the buildings, and everybody's like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, and no one knows. It's crazy.
There's so much fan fiction about this too. I mean,
I know.
like literally the Stephen King book that I just finished later, which is about a boy who can see dead people. The Roanoke mystery is a part of that story because one of the authors that the kid's mom's publishing company publishes writes a story about what he thinks happened during Roanoke. It's one of those eternal mysteries. Like it's one of those things where we know something happened. Like the ship that I can't remember the name of. There was a whole ship that just they found it and it was empty. All the people just left the ship in the middle of the ocean. They just got off and left.
Really?
Yeah, the lifeboat was gone. Some of their stuff was gone. But it looks like they all just decided to not use that boat anymore in the middle of the ocean, and no one has any idea what happened.
Is that real or fiction?
That's real, yeah. They were discovered by another boat. There's a bunch of different theories. Some people think that some of the barrels they had some fumes. Well, that's the thing. If pirates took it, pirates wouldn't leave the ship. They would take the ship and use it.
Yeah, that's
you know
the
what I
whole
mean?
point they were there.
And
Wait,
the cargo was still
real?
intact. Yeah, absolutely. It's like the
Interesting.
Mary Celeste or something like that. I want to say that's what it is. I just pulled that right out the old ether. One of the
Jack
theories
Sparrow.
is about I can't remember what kind. I think it's ethyl alcohol. Some kind of alcohol was in barrels. Was it the Mary Celeste? Oh my goodness. That was absolutely a guess. So the one of the prevailing scientific theories is that the cargo hold filled up with evaporated alcohol and something sparked it and it caused an explosion that scared the shit out of everybody. But since it's, a vapor explosion, it happened very quickly and didn't really cause any damage. So maybe they decided they would get off the main ship and get in the rowboat and like tie themselves to the ship and just be away from all the noxious fumes until they cleared. And then they were going to get back on the boat and something happened. A shark attacked them or they just lost their rope or a storm happened or something. But like no one really knows what happened to this day. It's very interesting. Some people think it's an insurance scam. I don't know. It's like Roanoke. It's something happened.
Yeah.
No idea what it is.
And what's crazy to me about Roanoke is like, we're not talking like a colony of like 20, 30 people. We're talking, I think it's 108 people.
Yeah.
Like
A whole
just
settlement.
gone.
Yes.
Like
Mhm.
everything's still standing, but everybody is just gone. Like I just think it'd be so eerie. Like go from like a bustling like community, type thing, and you come back and there's nobody. And it's like,
Even
what the
yeah,
fuck?
absolutely. Even back then, kids are running around.
Yep.
Yeah,
Religious services are still ensuing.
animals and shit. running around,
Civilization,
too.
absolutely. And it's just to be gone. Wild.
It's insane.
Another tiny little mystery like that I'm curious about is they think that the Polynesians who populate, Polynesian islands, Hawaii, Samoa, those people, they think they may have landed in Southern California like a long ass time before anybody else did. There's a bunch of weird little evidence about these certain languages in that area. They use Polynesian words or very similar to Polynesian words for things like boats and ropes and things that you would know about if you were a seafaring people. That'd be super curious to find out about that.
Okay.
I think Caden's in the American history. We could talk about the Vikings coming to
Oh,
Vinland.
absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, man. This dude's like, especially the Civil War, he's like, hey, motherfucker, did you fail American history in high school? Watch this.
I love
Buckle that
anything
ass
war,
up,
but,
boy.
like, Civil War is like my shit, dude. Like,
I'm very, I mean, genuinely am impressed. Like, usually people who do what we do are, I mean, you can hold conversations and blah, 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 but they're genuinely like just dumbasses. They're fucking idiots who are just looking
They're not
forward
into
to their
the
next
specific
fucking
stuff.
bag of Fritos. Like looking for a new window to fog up. Like, it's cool. Like, that you have this interest, this passion. Like,
yeah, man.
I mean, and I'm not like kissing your ass or whatever. I'm just being genuine. Like, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's hard to find
Mm-hmm.
someone who's not interested in something other than or fucking Netflix.
Yeah, some normal basic thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I would,
It's really cool.
implore you guys, even if you're not into like Civil War or anything, like go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania and do the battlefield tour for, I don't know how much it is, not a crazy amount, but like, and hopefully you get someone that's like super into it. Cause we got like an older guy. He knew everything. I mean, like he was telling us about, there's a test they have to take. Like they have to score like a 98% to pass it. Like, wow. So like,
to be a director or something, or like to be the dude
to be like, hey, I'll drive you guys around in your vehicle and I'll tell you what everything is. Yeah.
Oh.
to be. So there's a test to be a tour guide.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he knew everything. And then, we were walking around and there's a group over here we're looking at, and their guide's like super into it. He's like, just imagine Lee's there, Longstreet's there. They have 10,000 troops. And that kind of makes it cool because like you like visualize it a little bit better,
Yeah.
But
Makes it more
I would implore
cinematic.
you to go.
It's absolutely just storytelling. Yeah.
Yes. Go do the tour, look at all the museums, just experience like the battlefield, just it's an awesome experience, I think.
I've heard a ghost tale that
Yeah.
people who spend overnight at Gettysburg, there have been those who like come back to polite society after the experience with like whitened hair from the stress and their voices muffled and fucked up and gravelly from the yelling and just what they've experienced. I've heard that people who spend their time at Gettysburg overnight come back changed.
Interesting.
Very.
I know.
Yeah, my wife is really into the supernatural. So if there's ghosts involved, I've at least heard of it. I'm not going to claim to be any authority on it. Like, shit, you've done more for me than my high school history teacher has, to be completely fair. You've named more battles. I'm like, what fucking page is that?
God, they just keep drawing dicks on these pages, man. There's dicks on every fucking page.
I got
Absorb some
something that's
oxygen.
not even in the same fucking, not even in the same stratosphere, but it's an interesting question. So continue. You finish up because I know you got 17 more fucking wars we got to discuss. So let's go.
No, Battle of Thermopylae was one.
Yes.
Hey, I know that one.
And then we'll go 1815, Battle of Waterloo. Emperor Napoleon.
Yep.
His crushing defeat against
The Brits.
Yeah, the British, Duke Wellington, and that was his last battle. He lost that, and then he got exiled to some other
first time.
island. Second time.
Was that the second time?
This is comeback. Yeah,
Yeah, they had to exile his ass several times.
yes, they did. He come back, and then he went on another tear and was like, made France great again. And then
Yeah, they tried to make his nephew or something be the emperor, and then his
Something
nephew
like
was like a
that.
dick, and he was like, "All right, I
And
guess
then-
I'm just the emperor again."
and then it was Austria, Russia, Great Britain, and Prussia formed their alliance to beat Napoleon.
Yeah, and if
And
Prussia
they-
wouldn't have joined that alliance, Napoleon would have won, no
Oh, yeah.
questions whatsoever.
Yeah, and who knows what that
Everything
would've
you
done.
think about Germany being militaristic and super good at military things, that is all Prussia, baby. Tradition that
Mhm.
goes way back.
That's a good point. So, like, how Napoleon's going into Russia failed fucking miserably because we're like,
Mhm.
oh, it's 10 degrees here and we have no food. Like and then later on, you have World War I and World War II. They're kind of like, oh yeah, well, we kind of should learn from history a little bit. We don't want to go too far into Russia. Like because at some points there's just nothing. For miles, for hundreds of miles.
Didn't to you, Caden? I'm not sure, but like, didn't Germany try or the Nazis? Didn't they try to invade Russia or some shit?
They
and
did.
fail. They did.
Miserably.
It just you're
got
speaking
pretty
about
far.
like the endless winter of Russia and the
Mhm.
failure of Napoleon, which everybody knows if you've been through school.
That's why you
But-
attack Russia in the summer.
Yeah.
Springtime.
If forgive me if I'm wrong, but
the daffodils are up.
that's what
Exactly.
happened, I believe, is they were doing really well going into Russia, and they didn't want to lose momentum, but it started to get cold, and they pressed forward too far,
Yeah,
and they
that
should have
kinda
turned back
just
sooner.
halts, the Russian cold kind of halts
Mhm.
everything.
That's a thing in
mean,
ancient
if it
battles
stops-
too. Like ancient battles, once it started to get cold, if you were in a conflict with somebody, they were just like, "All right, guys, we'll meet you back here in the spring. We're not doing this shit during the
Yeah.
winter."
Oh,
Like,
so they would do like a climatized ceasefire,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
a weather advisory.
sometimes it would just
ceasefire.
never start again. They'd be like, "What were we even fighting about?" It was like 3 months ago. Like,
Mhm. I think it was
I
like
mean, though that's
April
fair.
or May to October, maybe.
mhm.
Like that was pretty much the only time they like had battles because they're like, it's kind of hard. No one can really win when there's
Mhm.
3 feet of snow out here.
Not to
so-
mention the fact that most soldiers were also farmers, so they had to plant and they had to harvest.
Yeah.
okay. You can cut this if not. But Thomas, didn't you say something about like before nobody starts a war on like a Monday or something? Like it just reminded me of that conversation we had at one time.
Such a Thomas thing to say.
Well, it's because no, I mean he made it a
Garfield
good
runs
point when he
all
said it.
wars.
I don't mean to like put you on blast, but like,
we might be talking about the Friday the
'Cause you
13th
said-
thing.
well, no, it was something about Russia. You're like, if nobody does a war or whatever on Monday or something because of the
Does a
banks
war.
or something. I don't know.
So,
If not, then cut this. That's why I did the time thing. But I
I
didn't
have
want to
no
like call
idea
you
what
out.
you
'Cause, I mean, dude, this was months ago. I mean, fuck, this is probably almost a year ago. But I didn't know if you remembered. But what Caden was talking about had reminded me of it. It's the only reason why I brought it up.
Doesn't ring any bells, but that's not
Okay,
saying
then
much.
just, cut that.
Two more.
Go.
Battle of Troy.
Yes.
So I watched Troy 1,000 times as well, and watch Achilles and the Greeks.
A battle that
Troy.
most people thought didn't actually happen because Achilles was supposed to be a mythical person and not real, and then they actually found the city of Troy, and now we have no idea.
Achilles
Yeah.
is real?
Maybe.
Is that real?
In the same way that
It was in
Hercules
the movie,
was probably
so like,
real.
I'm like, that shit's so cool.
That's
And Brad Pitt killed
I
like
didn't know.
8,000 people in that movie. So
Yeah, Brad Pitt
Yeah.
is super
Shit.
hot in that movie. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. They're like, who do we know who looks like a Greek god? That's Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt with
Yeah.
his Fight Club abs. That happens.
easy.
Can't deny it.
Easy,
Can't deny it.
Thomas,
Can't deny it.
Let's bring it down.
Easy.
We're going to send this one into overtime. It's worth it.
It's
Anyway.
absolutely worth it.
Okay, and then June 6th, 1944, Operation Overlord, D-Day. I want to see that.
Hey, did they make a movie about that shit?
Yeah, but
COD zombies? Get out of here.
Isn't that the kind of opposite of what we were just talking about with like the Battle of 300 and the Burnsides Bridge? Like us storming the beaches in Normandy on D-Day is almost like us trying to cross the bridge, right? Like we got to push through that initial where they have the high ground and they have all the advantage, and we're trying to punch through like they were trying to cross the bridge. You know what I mean? Like we were the ones who were not in the advantageous position during that.
I mean, I want to view it from the German side. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they had the bombing, because they tried to, demolish the beach defenses so there'd be
Mhm.
pretty much nothing in their way, but they missed. And I
Caltrops.
just imagine like a German soldier up in at 4 or 5 in the morning, waking up, just like lighting a cigarette, going out, look at the beach, and just seeing thousands of fucking warships out in the ocean. Like, I just think that'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, do you want me to do your question, Thomas, or do you want me to do
My
Caleb's top
question
three?
is it's almost the same question, but just not quite. So we're talking about spectator mode. We just want to go back and witness things, right?
Mhm.
I don't want to go back and change history stuff because that just is a whole other podcast. But if you, for some reason, someone put a gun to your head right now and said you had to pick a time to get sent back to live the rest of your life, where would you go? I think Cullen should answer first because his answer would be the funniest.
2022.
Like, yeah,
Let's say,
I don't
just
know.
as a caveat, it has to be before you were born.
1995.
So you're going back 1 year before you were born just to see how
Yep.
the other side lived.
The other side.
How did the world survive without
Um,
me?
If I could just die right before COVID, so I don't know, that'd been sick.
So you want to like go back and like start your life in your 20s in like the 60s so that you die in the 60
Sure.
years later at 80, the ripe old age of 80, never knowing what a quarantine is.
Sure.
I as cool as it would be to go back to any time, you'd run down a fluffy meadow fucking hill and scrape your knee on a rock, and it's a death sentence,
Mhm.
because they didn't have
It can
hydrogen
be.
peroxide.
Because, I mean, they did have soap in some places. Like,
The fucking deer pissed on that rock in the morning, and then you fall and scrape your knee, and like,
yeah.
oh yeah, he's dead. Like, just
So
put
you're
him out of
thinking you
misery
want
now.
to
That
at
is
least go
amazing.
1800s and forward where we had some kind of medicine.
Some kind of mess. I want
Don't be
from
weak.
whenever hand soap, whenever that was a thing, like
Mhm.
Whenever
Right, around
Dove was
1800s, yeah.
invented.
whenever Dove soap, not the chocolate, the soap.
Where? That's my other question. Like, what time and place would you go to? You know what I mean? Like, are you looking
During
it's-
that time period.
Yeah, since you're being forced, are you just looking for the best you can think of, or like, do you have a place that you'd be curious to see how they lived then? You know what I mean? It's a real head scratcher, folks. Well, I mean, like, do you go to a place where you think you know stuff, or do you go to a place that's completely new just for the thrill? Like, if you have to start over, you might as well start over somewhere completely different than you know now, and like,
you could definitely go somewhere and like do some shitty ass magic tricks, and they'd be like, "This
Maybe.
guy is a god."
Yeah. Well, so we were talking about the Jesus thing earlier.
All the food, whatever,
ladies,
shitty alcohol they make, and then yes, all the women.
Well, remember the Family Guy about Jesus? Jesus was just doing like a silly magic trick on the hill, and Family Guy when they went back to see what he did. You know. Yes, that's the one with the thumb. Yes, absolutely. You could do that.
I'm basically Chris Angel.
I just want to go back to a time where there was Mentos and there was Pepsi, but like just barely, and be the first guy to dump a Mentos in a Pepsi and make it explode everywhere.
I want to see Cullen just eat a bunch of Mentos and then just chug a bunch of fucking cola. It's like
roar like a T-Rex.
All right, I want to see you die too. How about that?
Shit.
What the fuck?
All right, you go, Dan.
I'll go ahead and toss my number one. Because fuck it. My number one of all, if I could go back to one time, it's been this way since I was probably at least 10 years old. You've heard it from the beginning. You know, depending on what, the Big Bang, evolution, fucking God, fucking anything. I would go back to the immediate point of either creation, disbursement, Big Bang, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The moment before it happened. And see what actually happened. Floating in this imaginary fucking Harry Potter bubble of fucking fuck you, I'm safe. And just see what happened.
Wow.
I don't give a shit about coming back to present time and convincing Steve down the street that his God sucks because mine made the world. I don't care. I just want to know if either like it was a collection of energy and all this other shit that, you know, this person made me try to fucking whatever in science class and a disbursement, or if it was God being like, I fucking love cows, Lucifer. There's cows.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, Lucifer was the first.
On Family Guy, wasn't a God playing poker or something like that? Have some girl over at his place and he farted and it the universe. Like,
that might be. Like that? Whatever it is, I'm there for it. That's what I want. I don't care about fucking any of the other. Above all, if I had to pick one fucking moment to go back to, it would be in this fucking super sick Finding Nemo fishbowl, going back and watching the universe being born out of nothing but a pea.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I honestly, it never occurred to me to go before there was a universe. Because like before there's a universe, there's no time.
And to give some backstory real quick, my dad was like, when my dad's one of these guys that's like supposed to be well read. He's like, well, fucking the space is infinite. Like, okay, no, bitch. Like, name anything in the world that, like, a front that doesn't have a back, an opening that doesn't have a close, a beginning that doesn't have an end. Name anything. You can't. Oh, that's weird because that doesn't exist. So space must, by our current limitation of understanding, must end at some point. It must. Now, that's not to say that it does. It absolutely may not. But to our current model, it must. Because that which begins must end. There is nothing in the world. There is not nothing in our limited world. Nothing in existence that does not have a cycle. Nothing that is born, lives, and dies. Stars follow this metric. The only thing that I can think of, and this is no one else has ever named this, the only thing I can think of is the yawning existence of space. Now,
the void.
The void, essentially. But the void is home to all that which goes through the cycle. Yeah, anyway, the point is, I wanted to go back to the Big Bang. Whatever it was, I don't give a fuck what it was. I want to see it.
I know, it's hard to even know what you would be able to perceive happening. You know what I mean? Because, like,
I'll just be sitting there with popcorn, watching an atom turn into a universe.
Obviously this is just theory, but like the 0.000000001 second after the Big Bang happened is supposed to be like the hottest thing that's
where I throw popcorn and I'm like, all right,
happened.
God, I'm good.
It's like so hot that like you probably wouldn't like everything would just be heat.
I'm in a bubble. I'm safe.
I know you're safe, but I mean, like, how do you perceive heat with no light or sound?
Fuck the lizards on Mars. Nobody cares. All right.
Well, I mean, like, you gotta think good. That there's billions of years between the Big Bang and the formation of planets, and
right. But I'm saying, like, if some dude shows up and is like, Earth's a thing,
Yeah.
I'll see that.
Oh,
If
okay. I see
not,
what you're saying.
If it's like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, holy shit, that atom fucks
Yeah.
so hard it created all that is known.
yeah, I
Or
get
that
what you're saying.
atom-sized thing.
I get it.
Then I'd be like, oh shit, that thing's sick. It like created like
Mm-hmm.
Sears, which eventually closed because the world sucks.
Yeah,
I
I get
don't
what
know
you
how
mean.
to say it in a more
Like,
stupid way.
It's almost more like it's almost like you're who done it. You don't really care about JFK and stuff, but like you want to know who
Give a
done
shit.
the
Who's
universe.
dead? It is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, chalk it up to war as hell. It's a loss. I don't give a fuck who shot him. I just want to know.
Where are you going to live
Like-
the rest of your life at? That's what we want to know now.
In fucking Ohio,
No, like
drowning
if
in
you could,
cornfields and
if you could go
worthlessness.
back to any time and place during history,
Oh, where would I
to
live
live
my
the rest of your
life?
life? Yes,
The fucking 20s. You know how many?
the 20s,
Roaring
1920s,
Never
20s,
mind.
yeah.
Never
Roaring
mind.
20s.
Oh,
We shouldn't
yeah.
talk about that.
Really?
I thought we were just talking about visiting for a short. Yeah. You know, okay. You know what?
I
Fuck
just
it. Hang
you
on.
know,
You know how many fucking people I would take the 20s. Are you kidding me? The invention of the I would put so many I would be a
Ooh.
god.
you talking about like Dillinger style? You just
Oh, dude, I would be no.
Taking
If
money
you
and
haven't
running.
watched Peaky Blinders,
Mhm.
the Europeans, T sucks. I would bring the Peaky Blinders to America. I would
I think
literally
they
be
existed in America.
who ran
There
the
was gangsters
railroad. Who's the dude that
Rockefeller.
ran the railroad because he sucked at being an oil
then.
person?
Rockefeller.
Rockefeller.
Yeah.
I would take that idea before he done it, him, and be Rockefeller beforehand. Reinvest that money in what would eventually become like tech,
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft. Oh, dude, I would own this country. Oh my god. And it wouldn't be for a reason. Like I wouldn't use that money to become all power. I'd be dead in 30 years because it's the 20s. I don't give a shit.
Just puffing a pogey, drinking scotch
Yeah,
for breakfast.
it'd just be like a you to Bill Gates because, like, you know what? Nobody cares. You and Bing.
Right now, we'd be on Tacticus 10 instead of Windows 10.
I can't tell which one's worse. But yeah, absolutely. Anyway, sorry.
Interesting.
Okay, we can cut back in, absolutely. But
God
yes,
damn, can't wait to cut that 20 minutes of Dan out. Actually, I'm just going to bleep like every other word.
that's fine. That's
Awesome.
fine. It would be good
Gonna
for
be
comedic value.
ridiculous.
Caden, I apologize. I just wanted to
It's
get
all
that
good.
one out. That's since I was like 10 years old, that's been the one point in time I've always wanted to go back to because I've sat in church pews, excuse me, and listened to holy men speak of God. I've sat in kitchen chairs, listened to single mothers talk of what they believe happened, and I've sat in shitty single person desks listening to some paid educator talk about what they think happened, and I just want to know. Above all, since I was a child, that's what I want to know.
It's the
I
ultimate.
would go
isn't
back
it?
to if I didn't choose to live, I'd go back to early 2020 and put all my money into Dogecoin.
Caden, stop. Go back to 2010. Take $10,000 invested in Bitcoin and pay me later. You're welcome. Everyone who went into the military with me, we all gathered around a fire and literally talked about how we slept on Bitcoin
Mhm.
and missed that train. We could have all been above and
Mhm.
beyond. We could have all been Buzz Lightyear.
Let me give Caitlin's top 3 now.
Yes, sir.
We already talked about her number one. Her number one was what actually happened to Hitler, which we talked about. that.
Yeah, it was on my
Her-
list for sure.
Her number 3 was, which it's broad, but it's evolution. She wants to see what we actually evolved from, if that's what happened. Like
That
if
would be
it's-
a lot of snapshots.
I
Yes.
know, if it's like a minute organism to a bigger one, to a lizard, a fish to a lizard, to a monkey, to a person. She wants to see that. And then she's
Does she have like a thing she wonders it might be? Like some people do think that the smallest parts of life that, everything evolved from may have been accidentally put here by a comet or an asteroid and stuff like that. Is that what she's wondering about? Or
No, I think she just because like you see the scale. Oh, it's a organism to a fish to a lizard to a monkey man to a man.
Mhm.
She wants to know is that how it happened? Like,
Are
or
there big
did-
chunks missing and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, super
So,
cool.
her number 2, because she's real big into biology, how the inside of a cell was discovered. In particular, that she said the sodium potassium pumps, because you can only look at us back in their time, look at a cell. You can see the inside of the cell, but she said compared to a cell, the sodium potassium pumps are so much smaller than the cell. She's like, how they know they're there? How they know? So
that's interesting. I wonder if that might be
what the fuck is a sodium potassium pump like?
I wonder if that might be one of those things like in physics where like the math just says it has to be there, so they assume it's there, and then eventually they find it. Something like that. Maybe the chemistry math works out that way or something.
I mean, it wasn't hard. I figured like Civil War being my top 3, but like I'm sure there's even thousands more that we didn't even think of. Just of like certain things that happened. And
I got one of my big broad ones that I don't really have any specifics about is I want to see what South America was like before Europeans came, because they're starting to think now, they're finding all these places using LiDAR in the jungle that look like whole ass cities that were in the middle of the Amazon rainforest that we thought was nothing but tribal people in loincloths, and that the very first settlers who came here, Columbus and his goons, that they spread smallpox and stuff so far, so fast that literally there's a city that they have found the remains of. And they basically said that when Columbus got to America, this city was as big as the city of London was at that time. And then it just disappeared and is gone. So like, I would love to see what kind of civilization was down there at that time. That'd be fascinating. Some of the stuff that we're going to discover there in the next 30 years is going to blow our freaking minds, I think.
Another cool one I just thought of, what happened to the dinosaurs?
Yeah, that'd be for sure.
If the dinosaurs are real.
Oh, if.
I know. I think they are, but, there are people that...
I just want to know if they had feathers. My Triceratops didn't have feathers. And bring back Pluto. Whatever happened to science? They're doing it wrong now.
Yeah, that's all I have, I believe. That was...
We got
I've been holding a fucking question for an hour and 20 minutes, Thomas. Fuck you.
I started a question and all 3 of you answered, and then I didn't get an answer. So if we're talking protocol.
You answered. Thomas, right now.
Listen.
Go.
No,
Thomas,
you
go.
said that was fun. That's your hey, let's wrap this up.
Thomas, go.
I meant his girlfriend's pics being fun. They were so out of what we... if I was going to go back in time and live my life for a whole life, I think that I would like to just skip all the stuff that I know completely. And I would like to go to like Celtic France, like pre-Roman conquest, and live as a hunter-gatherer on the Mediterranean. They have good weather. They got abundant food, supplies. I think that I would probably live a shorter life, but maybe a very different, completely unaccessible life to me now. That's what I would pick. Go, Colin.
Such a you answer, my friend. That is such a you answer.
I can't stop playing with my phone because I have a phone. But like, if there just were no phones, maybe I'd be a different type of person. You know what I mean?
This is a good fucking episode, Caden.
Yeah,
I know.
I think Caden should ask, or since Caden wrapped up his list, Cullen waited for an hour for his question. I think he should ask his question, and we should do like a lightning round version of answers, and then I'll say goodbye.
This dawned on me about an hour and a half ago, you fucking Neanderthals. But I was sitting there, and I was like, it was like the Blair Witch Project came out, right? And it's a found footage style film. I believe it was like one of the first of its kind at least for a horror film. And I'm pretty sure there was like this week, because it wasn't super internety times. So I think there's this week where people were like, is that real or is that not real?
Yes.
And I guess there's like a little panic about it. I was like, that would be awesome to go back and be able to live that movie with that knowledge, like with that, like, wait, did they actually find this in the woods? Like that. I was thinking along those lines, like things that are more like a cultural thing you'd want to go back and live, not war or something spooky or mysterious, just like a cultural thing that happened.
I know the exact one off the rip, no questions asked whatsoever. If it's just for my own enjoyment of a weird cultural thing, my ass is going to Woodstock, son.
That's a good one. It's a solid one.
It's solid.
The original one, not the one with Limp Bizkit.
Nah, we gotta go to Biscuit Woodstock.
You don't want hot dog flavored water, bro?
I do.
I love the hot dog flavored water, but I'm just saying I don't think that was as culturally influential as the first one.
Oh, it was.
My culturally whatever question, my answer to that is whenever we decided as a culture when missionary was boring and we moved on beyond that. Shit's trash.
I
Birds.
I gotta ruin this for you, dude. Missionary came second. Do you think?
Yikes.
Have you ever seen monkeys? They don't do it that way. We were doing it the monkey way first. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. All right, Caden. Lightning round. What you got?
I got.
He already answered this.
He who discovered DMT.
Feel bad for that guy. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no shit.
Caden answered this already because he's talked about the Queen thing. Like that's a
that's
solid
true.
answer
That's
for this.
absolutely true.
Yes. And
Perfectly
that
solid.
concert was a sham, and then and old Freddie and the boys get up on stage, and the money starts rolling in.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Scooby Doo was there.
Oh yeah, bud.
Yeah, no one was asking where he was then because they knew.
You said Freddie and the boys. I don't know. That's just what popped into my head. Freddie
They got
and
some
Chad.
work to do
Freddie,
now.
Roger, Brian, and John, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Those are terrible names.
They were British.
Milk
I was
toast
gonna
name.
say, could we get a non-plain name? Could we get like a fucking, I don't know.
No,
Or Ringo?
Ringo was
We get
the
a
only
Cullen
one,
in there?
yeah. No Cullens.
No.
It wasn't an Irish band.
Your name will never
Are
get
you
airtime.
eating during a podcast? You
He's
fucking
eating
lazy
everything.
fuck.
He's been eating, friend.
What's your shit? No, get out of here.
Come
He's
on,
like,
brother.
hey,
He's been
We're
eating.
I
professionals.
want to chew some
Go
gum
away.
that I can swallow.
I can swallow and speak at the same time. I'm a professional.
Yeah, I'm
All
sure
right.
the listeners really appreciate that.
I feel like we just ruined history together,
We did.
like a family.
We did.
That's
what
what
was
it
the thing you were saying that the sheet cover that you thought was a sheet?
Duvet.
Duvet. Fuck you, dude, for throwing some stupid ass
Fuck
name
you,
like
dude.
You want to call it
I
what
love
is a
that line
duvet?
you're willing to die on.
that. Some of us don't make six figures, Cullen. We don't know what that kind of lifestyle is.
Pretty sure you make more than me.
And that's all, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's over. That's it. That's all we got. If you like this episode, which I'm sure you did, you can find the audio version of this podcast on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, on Deezer, and Podchaser, and all the podcast apps. If you want to watch all of our eyebrows dance while we listen to each other talk, you can check out the video version on YouTube. Just search Highly Visible. You can find us on Facebook. Search for Highly Visible Podcast. Give us a like. Show us that you care. If you want to find us on Twitter, you can find us at HighViz Podcast or individually at HighViz Caden, at HighViz Cullen, at HighViz Dan, or at HighViz Thomas. You can find us on Instagram at HighViz Podcast. Or, if you don't want to write all that down and, you're not going to remember it, just check us out on Linktree. Linktree/Highly Visible. Everything we got, it's all right there. We hope you enjoyed it. We're glad to have you. Hope to see you next time.